asking for. Uh-oh, get on the same page. My understanding, everybody was on the same page, right? Oh, that's right. We found out that there was a fracture the other day. And then they tried to
Get on the same page. That phrase should raise red flags. When you're deep in CBA negotiations and the union vice president is talking about aligning players, it usually signals one thing: a fracture. And Breanna Stewart just confirmed it on camera. Here's the real story. What's happening behind closed doors in these WNBA CBA talks is far different from the public narrative. The surface shows progress, but the private reality tells a much more complicated story.
so there wasn't a lot of money increase. There wasn't. It was like they went from a $5 million salary cap, I believe, to 5.65, something like that. Breanna Stewart said, quote, there were some minimum standard requirements that did come into play, and that was important, Stewart added, because that means the league heard us on some things that matter to us.
Here's what actually changed in the league's latest proposal, delivered Friday, February 7th. Housing standards and facility requirements. The WNBA is now offering one-bedroom apartments to minimum salary players for the first 3 years of the new CBA, with studio apartments for developmental players. They're also adding stipends and per-game appearance fees for those developmental players, though capped at a set number of games. That's a real concession. The league has provided housing since 1999, but this proposal upgrades standards significantly. But here's the kicker. Notice what Stewart said immediately after acknowledging those wins. The proposal didn't move much money. Translation: the owners gave ground on the easy stuff, costs that are fixed and predictable, like apartments and facilities. What they didn't budge on is the issue that actually matters to the players, the financial structure that could transform their earnings.
October, okay, we know about that. Let's go further down. As Breanna Stewart noted, however, the league's response did not address the gap between the sides on revenue sharing. The WNBA's proposal in early December would raise the cap to $5 million and max salary to be about $1.3 million in the first year of the new deal. A source close to the situation told CBS Sports that over the course of the proposed deal, the max salary would raise to almost $2 million. We know that. And that multiple players on each team would be eligible for
revenue sharing. That's what this entire negotiation boils down to. Everything else is just window dressing. The WNBA's December proposal offered a $5 million salary cap, with a max salary around $1.3 million in year one, scaling up to nearly $2 million by the end of the deal. Minimum salaries would start at $230,000, with an average of $530,000. Here's the critical part. According to sources close to the talks, the deal would give players about 70% of net revenue. Net revenue, not gross revenue. And that distinction is everything. Every thousand counts. Net revenue means the league deducts all specified operating expenses first, then splits what's left. The players, however, want a share of gross revenue, the total money coming in before expenses. Put simply, it's the difference between getting paid after the bills are settled versus getting paid alongside the bills. And that gap, that fundamental divide, has kept negotiations stalled for over 6 weeks.
Source estimates this deal would result in players getting about 70% of net revenue. That is the revenue remaining when the league's specified operating expenses are removed from the pot. See, the players are wanting gross revenue. All right, they're wanting a salary cap at $10.5 million with a max salary around 2.
The players' position? They're asking for a $10.5 million salary cap, with max salaries around $2.5 million. That's more than double what the league is offering on the cap and nearly double the max contract. For a league that has never turned a profit in its 28-year history, this isn't a negotiation, it's a fantasy. Here's where it gets interesting from a public relations angle. The league deliberately leaked these proposal details to ESPN. They wanted fans to see the actual numbers on the table. Because when casual fans hear players complaining, then see that the league is proposing to more than double minimum salaries and nearly triple some max contracts, public sentiment shifts. Suddenly, it doesn't look like greedy players. It looks like owners trying to balance impossible numbers.
Longer be able to start the season on time if there's no CBA in place. Quote, I think that both sides are very aware that it's gone on way longer than it needed to, but hopefully we can really start to be hearing each other and they hear us on things that are non-negotiable. Well, this all comes back to what? Revenue sharing. I mean, that's really what this is all about. They've offered the money. Now,
Training camp is just over 2 months away. That's not much time when you consider everything that still has to happen. The league and players need to finalize a CBA, conduct a double expansion draft for the new Golden State Valkyries in Toronto, and manage what's shaping up to be the busiest free agency period in WNBA history. None of that can happen without a functioning collective bargaining agreement as the foundation. Stewart said she doesn't know if there's a drop-dead date, a point where the season cannot start on time without a deal. That's not entirely accurate. The league does know the deadline. They just haven't made it public. Why? Because announcing it would create pressure. Right now, the league is playing the long game, letting the calendar do the work for them.
now, so many fans, hey, now that we know, now that we've seen the gargantuan salary bump for players in a league where the league's never turned a profit, well, now it's become a public relations issue between the players and the fans because the fans can see what is on the table now. And we know, I said the other day, there's no way the NBA/WNBA owners didn't leak all that information the other day.
Then there's the rumor that's been circulating all week. Multiple sources suggest WNBA players might stage a protest or strike during NBA All-Star Weekend, which kicks off this Sunday. The league's executive committee held a call on Sunday, February 9th, to discuss the latest proposal. As Stewart put it, the goal was to get everyone on the same page about what they're asking for. Think about the timing. A Sunday meeting, all players coordinating unity and messaging, just days before the NBA's biggest showcase weekend. If anything is planned, that call was likely the coordination hub. But here's the reality the players need to consider. A strike or protest during NBA All-Star Weekend would be a PR disaster. The optics could overshadow their message and backfire spectacularly.
This is interesting. It sounds like they've made some progress, but if these players don't get a handle on this revenue sharing issue that they seem to be stuck on, well, I mean, is there going to be a season? I can tell you this, I'm sure the WNBA absolutely knows a drop dead.
The public conversation has already shifted. When these negotiations first began, most casual fans didn't know the financial details. They just heard that players wanted more money and instinctively sided with them. Workers versus management, labor versus capital, players versus owners. But now, the numbers are out in the open. Fans can see that the league is offering to more than double minimum salaries, nearly triple max contracts, and upgrade housing and facilities. All for a league that loses money every year and relies heavily on NBA subsidies. If WNBA players stage a protest now, after these details are public, the reaction won't be solidarity. It will be resentment. You can already see it in comment sections. Shut it down. Let them sit out. See how much leverage they have when nobody's watching. That is not the position a union wants to be in. Timing and optics matter, and right now, the optics are precarious.
Players. You got to remember, there's rumors floating around out there that these players could strike during the All-Star game or before the All-Star game. I'm talking about in the NBA this coming weekend. Man, these players, that's not going to go how you think it's going to go in the eyes of the public at all. It would be a gargantuan mistake. I see the comments. People are already saying, F it, shut it down. You know, tell me what